about that. We are in Acts chapter 27. Acts chapter 27. Paul has had quite a journey, literally through defense, and so he's had to defend himself against the Jewish mob, against Festus and Agrippa and all these others, and he could speak boldly. He did not have to take thought as to what to say, because it would be given to him what to say, and there's all kinds of confidence in that, and that's something that you and I need to remember. Though we're not promised that we'll be protected from physical harm here on earth if we preach Christ, but we do have a protection, a spiritual protection, if you will, if something were to come about, and if something were to happen to us, we're safe, right? So we really, truly should not have to worry about defending the faith at all. But we're now in Acts 27, and Paul is being sent to Rome. Paul is being sent to Rome. Well, let's first remember the background of this here. Paul, remember, was arrested, not for anything that was worthy of being arrested or of death or anything like that, but he was tried, and the Jews wanted him dead, and even the Romans, the Romans wanted him to go back to Jerusalem to be judged of them, but they sought to kill him. And they had no reason to. But this is what Paul said. Why is he? Let me just ask this way: why is he headed to Rome? Where's he going? Why is he going there? What did he say? That's it. He appeals to Caesar. Now, just in the previous chapter, Agrippa come to the conclusion that if he didn't appeal to Caesar, he'd have been set free, because he hasn't done anything worthy of being arrested or death. But because he appealed to Caesar, that's why he has to go. And also this, he could speak boldly to contend for the faith, because he was told that he's going to Rome. He wasn't told how he was going to Rome. We're about to study all of that here. So, Acts 27, this is the beginning of Paul's voyage by sea to Rome.
And by Providence gave him a free trip, basically.
Yeah.
He didn't have to worry about how he was going to get there.
Free as far as monetary. He said through God's providence he would send him there for free, and that's true. He did go to Rome for free. He didn't have to pay a dime. But I would say that there was a small cost to this, but that's nothing to Paul, really. Okay, very good point. Very good point. All right, verse 1. And when it was determined that we should sail into Italy, they delivered Paul and certain other prisoners unto one named Julius, a centurion of Augustus's band. And entering into a ship of Adramyttium, we launched, meaning to sail by the coast of Asia, one Aristarchus, a Macedonian of Thessalonica, being with us. Okay, so here's the voyage. He has made his appeal to Caesar. He's going to have his case heard by Caesar. That's why they're in the ship going towards Italy. And Luke decides to, or by inspiration, we're told that Aristarchus is with them, which, by the way, is spoken of in Colossians 4:10 as being a fellow prisoner with Paul. So he's named here separately from Paul and the other prisoners, and maybe because he's not a prisoner at this time, but we don't know. But also there's another pronoun, we. He uses we, clearly indicating that Luke was with them here. So this ship is from Adramyttium, and they're ready to head on to Italy. And the next day we touched at Sidon, and Julius courteously entreated Paul, gave him liberty to go unto his friends to refresh himself. And when he had launched from thence, we sailed under Cyprus, because the winds were contrary. And when we had sailed over the sea of Cilicia and Pamphylia, we came to Myra, a city of Lycia. Okay, so some things here that we can glean from, that Julius, who is, by the way, who's Julius? Previous verse. He's a centurion, okay? He's a captain, if you will. He's the leader of Augustus's band, which, by the way, means what? They don't play instruments. It's military, okay? It's a military thing. All right, so he's a leader of Augustus's military, and Julius gives Paul some freedom here. Why do you suppose that's so? I mean, he's a prisoner, right? Do prisoners just say, you know what? Or do the centurions say, prisoners, you need some time to refresh yourselves and just go and relax. Why Paul? Why does Paul get to do this? Remember the conclusion they had before they sailed off.
Griffith pretty well said he was innocent.
Yeah, they know he's innocent. Also, number two, the conduct of Paul. Who is Paul? He's a Christian. Anyone who lives the life in a Christian lifestyle is trustworthy. Paul's not going anywhere. Remember the Philippian jailer when the earthquake hit and he thought that all the prisoners escaped. What did the Philippian jailer do? He's about to kill him. That's exactly right. Okay, but Paul was a prisoner in that jail. Did he go anywhere?
Nope.
No, he did not. He's trustworthy. He's living the conduct of the way he should be living. All right, so he gives liberty unto his friends to refresh himself, and then they're heading. We sail under Cyprus. Why? Because the winds are going against them. And when we had sailed over the Sea of Cilicia and Pamphylia, we came to Myra, a city of Lycia, heading towards Asia Minor. And they had to take that route because of the winds here. So this trip, it's going to take a very long time simply because of the weather. Providence, probably so. There's a reason for all of this. Okay, let's keep reading. Here's the voyage from Myra to the ship of Alexandria. This was happening, by the way, yesterday, and we changed the batteries, and I don't know why it's going in and out. Y'all hear it going in and out? So just bear with me, if you will. All right, verse 6. And there the centurion found a ship of Alexandria sailing into Italy, and he put us therein. And when we had sailed slowly many days, notice that, how slow these things are going, scarce were come over against Cnidus, the wind not suffering us, we sailed under Crete, over against Salmon, and hardly passing it, came into a place which is called the Fair Havens, nigh whereunto the city of Lasea. So very slow sailing because of the winds. Many days this is happening over and over again, traveling long distances in a slow pace. There's going to be some testing here, some temptations later on we're going to read about because of all of this. All right, verse 9. Now, when much time was spent, and when sailing was now, look at this, dangerous, because the fast was now already past, Paul admonished them and said unto them, Sirs, I perceive that this voyage will be with hurt and much damage, not only of the lading and ship, but also of our lives. Now, through secular studies and other things, it is well known here. If you look at that, it says when much time was spent, when sailing was now dangerous. It gives us a reason why it's dangerous, because the fast was not already past. They knew during the time of the Days of Atonement, during that holiday, that the sailing was not safe. The Jews did. It was something that they already knew. The Mediterranean was not safe for ancient vessels after September 15th until about March 15th. That fast there it's mentioned is referring to the Jewish Day of Atonement. And that's in Leviticus chapter 16. We could read all about that. The Day of Atonement for the year 60 A.D. fell on, according to these notes and research, about September 23rd and on October 5th in 59 A.D. So that we can know just by reading this when what things happen secularly, not just biblically. It's very interesting how history in the Bible can go hand in hand. How prophecies are fulfilled, and we know that was fulfilled. Why? Because of secular history, because of the secular history books. Gives us encouragement for defending, the truth of the Bible. There are no errors in this book, scientifically, historically, anything like that. Okay, so we can glean from that and be encouraged just by that. Okay, that on the side, Paul voices his thoughts here also about this. He's saying, I perceive that this is going to be dangerous, not only for the ship, but our lives may also be in danger. And so, did the centurion listen to him? Well, let's find out. Verse 11. Nevertheless, the centurion believed who? The master and the owner of the ship, more than those things which were spoken by Paul, and because the haven was not commodious to winter in, the more part advised to depart thence also, if by any means they may attain to Phoenix, and there to winter, which is an haven of Crete, and lies toward the southwest and northwest. So the man in charge, the centurion believed more than Paul, the man in charge of the ship. He considered Paul's advice, but he decided to accept the captain's advice instead. Verse 13. Now we have a great storm. So we had the first 12 verses here. It is telling us that the ship or the sailing had began. Paul's journey or sea voyage to Rome had began, telling us things that the winds are slow, the winds are contrary to the sailing. We had to go this way because of the weather here. That the ship or the sailing during this time is dangerous and always is. That's just a well-known thing. Now we've come across a great storm here. In the next 13 verses, a great storm arises. By the way, we're going at a much rapid pace than what we usually do, huh? It's almost as if I want to wrap up Acts, because there's only 28 chapters. That's just not the case. It's just this is just a trail. Some things that we can glean and some things that we can know, and I really appreciate these things, these details that we're given here, letting us know possibly the temptations that Paul must have went through during all of this. It could easily have been said or done. The frustrations, you're on a ship for over 2 weeks. Your patience is running thin. I mean, we've all been through something like this, not to an extent as this, but I mean, have we ever waited on an airplane and then we're told that the flight's been canceled, or have you? And because it's been canceled, you had to wait an extra day or two to get home. It's things like this frustrate us and can tempt us to behave in a way that are contrary. But when we face things like that, what does that do for us, really, if we take it the right way? Oh, yeah, we'll grow stronger. We'll go stronger, and then when we face it again, we're going to react differently, aren't we? We're going to react differently and know differently, and just appreciate the things that we go through and take advantage of it and take opportunities of it to follow the Lord. All right, now verse 13, a big storm is coming upon them. And when the south wind blew softly, supposing that they had obtained their purpose, loosing thence, they sailed close by Crete, but not long after there rose against it a tempestuous wind called Euroclydon. So they had a gentle wind. You'd think that would be some hope there. But it gave them hope, but things are not always as they seem, and sometimes we understand that in life too. So instead of a smooth voyage, a pleasant winter wind gust, now we're about to face a big storm called Euroclydon. It drove the ship westward with a great force. Now, the Euroclydon, the significance, I'm not really sure, to tell us mainly probably in which direction the ship had gone. In my notes here, it says the precise name here, it's the Euraquilo is in the American Standard Version. I don't know if you had that, or in another version of the English translation, Euraquilo or Euroclydon. But there's a compound Greek word there, Euros, meaning east wind, and Latin aquilo, meaning northeast wind, hence Euraquilo, east-northeast wind. So now that you're confused, let's continue.
That's not like when we name hurricanes. Like
Yeah.
Hurricane Katrina.
It's going this way, all right? It's a tempestuous wind. It would be really more effective, and maybe at some time we can go back over this, if we had like a map to see which way, instead of a straight shot to Italy, which ways they had to go. Wind. Look what they did. We let her drive. And running under a certain island, which is called Clauda, we had much work to come by the boat, which wind they had taken up, they used helps, undergirding the ship, and fearing lest they should fall into the quicksands, struck sail, and so were driven. So what were they forced to do here because of this tempest? Let it ride. Just let it ride. Where's it going to take us? We don't know. Again, can offer us some anxiety and pressure in our minds and our lives, and sometimes we just can't control something, so we just let it ride. Just let it ride. And we struggle in life sometimes with worry, don't we? And obviously this is a physical thing, a scary thing. Has anyone in here ever been in a tornado? Some? I have too. I've been in one. Y'all remember that one in Lincoln County a couple years ago? Man, that was crazy. We were living in Kelso at the time. Erica and I were teaching in that county, and we were renting a double wide trailer, and our next door neighbors were the landlords. Their son used to own that, and they just rented it to us. It was Erica's principal's parents. It was her principal's brother's former house. And so we got the message on our phone, take cover, there's a storm coming. Well, until then, we didn't think about it. We're like, well, let's go to bed. We sleep through storms. Not so much anymore. For some reason, I don't know why I did this. It's against what I normally do. I looked on the phone, and it said, take cover now. We might need to go next door. They had this big brick house or whatnot. And so we did. We went over there, and winds were blowing and all this stuff. And well, their son was a cop, and one of his former partners called their parents and said, it's coming towards you. You take shelter now. And so we got in the closet, and I'm thinking, oh, what's going on? And so that's what we did. And Olivia and Liam, they were very little at this time, and we went in the closet, and the man, the owner of the house, I can't remember his name. You remember his name? You don't? I can't either. Okay, that's all right. It's been a while, but he wanted to go outside to look at what's going on because nothing had happened yet. Well, that's what we all do, don't we, men? We just want to watch the winds and whatnot. For some reason, I pulled him in and shut the door, and immediately, I don't know why, I pulled him in, shut the door, I covered my children, and I just prayed and prayed and prayed. And then I felt this wind, my ears popping, and it was like this over my head. And then outside in the living room, I could hear commotion, like we were being robbed or something. Somebody had come in and just threw furniture and glass shattering and all this stuff. And sure enough, after it was all done, the furniture was in the front yard. All their glass was everywhere. We're talking about serious anxiety here. And was that any of that in my control? All I could do is what? Pray. That's it. And just let God be God. That's why we need to be ready for tempestuous winds in our lives, because they're going to hit us, aren't they? You never know. We never know. Roy, you certainly know. A lot of people deal with the unknown. Wake up in the morning one day, expect a normal day, and then all of a sudden a tragedy occurs. And that's why we need to be ready. Yes, sir.
What to do with the trailer?
Well, it was unlivable. I can tell you that. We couldn't move back into there. It moved off the foundation 6 inches. 6 inches. Well, at the next morning, we felt they obviously let us sleep there, and Eric and I and the 2 kids were sleeping on their master bedroom bed, which, by the way, underneath it was all kinds of leaves. The wind got in there and blew leaves, and it had just attached to the mattress. It was the weirdest night of my life, longest night. And so the next morning, we come out and assess the damage, and trees were everywhere. Erica's car was next door, and trees circled her car. No damage to her car. None. As a matter of fact, Ronnie drives that car today. So yeah, it was unlivable. We went the next day to get a few things. There's a storm door in there. We walked in. We shut the door. As soon as we shut the door, shattered. More glass just broke. It was insane. But we're fine. We're absolutely fine. Just let it ride. That's what we need to do here. Okay. So they took opportunity here. When they passed that nearby wind, they had opportunity to take certain precautions to strengthen the ship. Verse 18. And we, being exceedingly tossed with a tempest, the next day they lightened the ship. What does that mean, lighten the ship? They had to throw some stuff overboard. And the third day we cast out with our own hands the tackling of the ship, and when neither sun nor stars in many days appeared, no small tempest lay on us. That's a funny way to say that. No small tempest. Why didn't he just say, and a big tempest fell upon us? There's some exaggeration here. All hope that we should be saved was then taken away. So the storm rages on, it tosses the ship, they're letting it ride. They do what they can to make it easier on them. And the men there began to lose hope of being spared. But then Paul comes along. Somebody's got something.
There's another point that,
Okay.
Because it said there's no store, so basically they were flying blind.
No light. Yeah, very good point. Yeah, no sun, no star. They're covered in clouds. There's nothing but clouds everywhere. Pitch black. Yeah, we take that for granted these days, don't we? Because at nighttime we have street lights. I mean, there's a light somewhere. Somewhere. We've been in those places though. When storms have hit, electricity has gone out completely, maybe the whole block or whole street, and it is pitch black. You cannot see in front of your face. You ever been in the woods when it's dark outside and the clouds are covering? Okay, you can't see the moon, you can't see the stars. Complete utter darkness. Can't see what's in front of you. There is no hope in that situation. Obviously, you can apply that to those who are lost spiritually. The problem is with that is that most people that are spiritually lost in complete darkness don't even realize it. Do not even realize it. Sometimes God needs to send a tempest to their lives to make them realize it, to open their eyes, if you will. Incidentally, that's when a lot of people respond to the gospel, right? When something, maybe a near-death experience, a car accident. Remember 9/11? I didn't know anybody here then. 9/11. I remember 9/11, and I remember quickly going to the gas station and filling up my car with gas as if that was going to do anything. And praying and God, please forgive me. It felt like the end of the world was coming. Jesus was coming back the next day, and many people went to college. I was in college at Cumberland that time, and everybody was at the flagpole praying and all that. I mean, it's as if, oh, by the way, I forgot. God is still here, so yeah, protect us, Lord. There's something happening bad, and You know, if it wasn't God, I could imagine, like, maybe me, I'll say me hypothetically, well, look who decided to show up. Something bad happens, you decide to call on me. Well, that's how a lot of people, or the majority of the people in this world, treat God, right? Absolutely. But a lot of people need to see a tempest in their lives to make them realize, you know what, we are in darkness. And we need to see the light. Which, by the way, spiritually, what is our light? Christ is the light. Christ is the Word, right? We wouldn't even know He was the light unless we had the Word. In the beginning was the Word, right? John 1. Absolutely. The Word became flesh. Jesus is our only way to know where the straight and narrow path is. It is straight, it is narrow. Why is the path straight and narrow? Because of the tempests in our lives. It's a struggle. It's things we have to endure. Develop patience. All these things. Very good point. I appreciate you bringing that up. Excellent. Verse 21. Okay, they lost all hope because of this. They haven't seen in the third day. They hadn't even seen the light of day. But here comes Paul. But after long abstinence, Paul stood forth in the midst of them, said, "Sirs, you should have listened to me. You should have listened or hearkened unto me, and not have loosed from Crete, and to have gained this harm and loss. And now I exhort you to be of good cheer." Notice that Paul here did not dwell on, I told you so, or you should have listened to me, and all of that. He brushed it off. You should have listened to me, but I'm going to tell you what. Be of good cheer right here. I exhort you to be of good cheer, for there shall be no loss of any man's life among you, but of the ship. For there stood by me this night the angel of God, whose I am and whom I serve, saying, "Fear not, Paul, thou must be brought before Caesar. And lo, God hath given thee all them that sail with thee. Wherefore, sirs, be of good cheer." Why? "For I believe God, that it shall be even as it was told me. Howbeit, we must be cast upon a certain island." So now, Paul comes forth. They've lost all hope. Paul comes forth with a message of encouragement. An opportunity, if you will, to prove to them that God is real. Paul's God is real. Who he's preaching about is real. And make sure that they understand, as long as they stay with the ship, their lives will be saved. He gave them the word right here. An angel at night, and the angel of the night came to me and said, "We are going to make it. But first we need to land on this island here." So he's gently reminding them of his advice. They should have taken his advice before they even left from Fairhavens. He didn't dwell on that. He exhorts them to be of good cheer. Nobody's going to die. This ship, yeah, it's going to be gone. But nobody is going to die.
It's awful funny here too that we're talking about a storm and God is basically saying we'll survive it. And that's how God works through our storms. Depend on Him, we will survive the storm.
Another great application there. Another great application. Sometimes we go through storms and we ask God to calm the storm. Does He always calm the storm? But He always does what? Yeah, He guides us through it or provides a way to escape. Right? 1 Corinthians 10 and 13. Somebody read that, please. 1 Corinthians 10 and 13.
No temptation has taken you, but as is common to man, and God is faithful, who will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you're able, but with temptation will provide the way of escape so that you will be able to endure it.
That's it, right? Now, we know and we've discussed how this verse is abused. How is it abused? What do people say that this verse means? Or yeah, God is not going to put on you more than you can handle.
I always tell people that you can put more on you than you can handle.
Yeah, that's true. We can put more on ourselves than we can handle. But they'll say, God will not put more on you than what you can handle. Let me ask you this: is that an encouraging interpretation, or is that a discouraging interpretation? I'm discouraged by that when someone tells me that. You mean to tell me that the God of the giver of good and perfect gifts will not put more on me than I can handle? So you're saying that He's going to push me to my edge, right? He said, let's see what He's going to do. I'm going to nudge him and nudge him, nudge. Let's see how faithful He is. Is that the kind of God we serve?
It could be discouraging too when you do meet that point in which you cannot endure anymore, and you do get very easily, and then you say, God is not a good person.
Yeah, then we blame God when we put it on more on ourselves, and then we can't handle it. And then we blame God, and then our faith definitely dwindles. Absolutely, yeah, for sure. So, yeah, there's that too. But God, we've been told. In fact, let's go to Matthew chapter 7. Jesus had just said, not everyone that says unto me, Lord, Lord, or calls me Lord, will enter into the kingdom of heaven. Which, that refutes a lot of what a lot of people believe about God. That God is, His grace is universal and it's going to cover me no matter what I do. But here He's saying, well, not everyone who calls me Lord will enter into the kingdom of heaven, but who's that part? But who's going to enter into heaven? What does He say? Yeah, he that does the will of my Father. Okay, and then He says, I will, and they'll say, well, I've done all these things in your name. I thought I was doing that which was right. Verse 22. 23 will say, I'll profess unto them, I never knew you.
I think that verse is Gary's verse in the Bible is that you can truly believe when you're facing Him that you're going to be saved.
Certainly.
To find out you're not.
That's certainly. And the timing of that too. Because when you see or hear Jesus say that to that person, I never knew you, they found out too late. They found out too late. Speaking of being in darkness and not thinking that our souls are lost, that would be a prime example there. But then look what Jesus says. Therefore, verse 24, whosoever hears these sayings of mine and what? Does them, I will liken him unto a wise man which has built his house upon a rock. Here's the tempest right here, verse 25. And the rain descended, and the floods came in, the winds blew, it beat upon that house. And did that house fall? It did not. For it was founded upon a rock. You're wise because you listen to Jesus. Your faith is on a firm foundation. And no matter what happens to you in this life, you're not going to fall. That's a promise that we have with God. He didn't say, whoever hears these things and does them will never experience rain again. If that were the case, do we need a foundation? Probably not. But then he goes on to say, and everyone that hears these things of mine and does them not is a foolish man. He built his house upon the sand. Right? Splat. Where's Josh Sanders? He'll tell you. He'll tell you. Foolish man built his house upon the sand, rains came tumbling down. Floods came up. Look, people believe that, if I give my life to Jesus, I have to give everything. It's really not a sacrifice. Think of it as an investment, right? We do away with the material things for the sake of Christ. Now, by the way, that doesn't mean we have to live like monks on earth. Just have your priorities in order. That's it. Enjoy life. It's a game. It's an eternal game. So it's really not a sacrifice at all. But anyway, yes, the tempest will come. But we have a way and a promise that we have a way of escape. And I hope you're encouraged by that. Okay? I hope you're encouraged by that. And I truly believe that all of us in here are. All right. Thank you so much for your time.